Welcome to the Pesky Report, a podcast for Red Sox fans.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 176 of the Pesky Report, presented by Belly Up Sports Media. I am Brandon Brewer. Joining me tonight is the usual crew for Sunday nights, finally back together again. We got Hogdale and Ed on the line. What's going on, fellas? How are we doing this weekend?
Football's back.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Absolutely. We were talking before we started the recording, and that's basically all Hogdale and I did this weekend was watch football. So we're definitely pumped for that.
And I'm just happy to be here with you two, my sexy friends. You know, that's like when I think about like what I've been missing the last 2 weeks by not being here. It's just like I need my self-esteem to get crushed more by like comparing myself to you two. So it's good, you know.
I honestly think it's been about a month since Ed and I have been on a show together.
I actually think you're right, because I think that there were like I missed two, and I think you missed some before that. Yeah. No, like I needed this. I needed to be just like shit. My beard's nowhere near that level. Okay.
100%. And yeah, you know, we were talking before the show, and I said to these two, I said my brother in Christ and Yahweh respectively, keeping it a stack. I didn't watch a single one of these fucking games. Saturday, I was busy. I was watching my Iowa State Cyclones play the Iowa Hawkeyes, and for the first time since I was a freshman in high school, they finally fucking beat Iowa. Thank God.
Let's go.
2014, 8 years of fucking agony. Oh my God. And yeah,
I think I'm an Iowa fan now. I'm an Iowa fan through osmosis now from you, Hogdale.
Hell yeah, brother.
By default, this is now an Iowa podcast, and we're only covering Iowa football from here on out.
Yep. And then I watched the Pats do whatever they did on Sunday. So, you know,
Speaking of that Pats game, you know, I of course live in Florida, so I probably get clued into more of the local news that happens in the state. Did you guys hear about the fire that took place in the parking lot of that game?
I saw the pictures.
Man, 11 cars were burnt in the parking lot because some idiot put their charcoal grill in the trunk with the hot coal still in the grill.
Florida man strikes again.
Florida man is not the smartest person out there, for sure. But I can just imagine, like, you know, they're out there tailgating. They've cracked open a few beers, and they're getting a little bit, you know, warm and fuzzy. And then they're like, "Oh crap, kickoff is at 1:00. We gotta go. Pack everything up, guys. Let's go." They come out, and the entire row of cars is just burnt down. And now your insurance is gonna have to, you know, pick up the tab for your car plus 10 additional.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's actually really rough.
That's very rough.
I'm watching The Sopranos right now, and that reminds me of when they like steal all of those cars from like that wedding, and like Tony has to the guy has to like make a deal with Tony to get like the one specific car back.
Gabagool.
It's a good show. It's a
very
good show, and I'm happy to drop that reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can drop a Sopranos reference on a podcast, you know you're doing it right.
I love Sopranos, but especially because of that really viral meme from not long ago. You guys didn't see this? It was literally just like a person who tweeted, "Why mafia isn't a fucking aesthetic," a thread, and then someone responded with, I cook good pizza." It said, "Fuck you. I hate you. I hate people like you. I hope you burn in hell." And the dude said, "Spaghetti and meatball."
That's not what I thought. I thought you might reference the one that was like somebody like a Gen Zer watching The Sopranos for the first time and commenting that they're starting to suspect that Tony Soprano is problematic.
Yeah, problematic. So true.
No, they would use the word toxic, I'm sure.
Well, he's very clearly toxic, but again,
very clearly.
the point. He works in waste management. That toxic waste is probably a part of that.
the point of the show. Let's go.
We started off talking football, and then we merged it into a Sopranos. Going back to the Red Sox a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
Going back to football a little bit. Last year at the Super Bowl, the commercial, the Soprano kids in the commercial redoing the intro, totally had me thinking that they were going to make a Soprano spinoff, and I was way in on that. I was super stoked to see Meadow Soprano back.
I still need to see Many Saints of Newark. I haven't seen that
yet. I'm like going through this and then the plan at the end because Allie's never watched it. My now fiance has now watched The Sopranos, and we're watching that before. We're like our starting to schedule the off season, which I tend to do. Like, what shows am I planning to watch? That kind of thing. So we're finishing Sopranos and then going from there to Rick and Morty. So
hell yeah, let's go.
It's a real palate cleanser, because Sopranos is funny, but it is some depressing ass shit. And actually, now that I think about it, Rick and Morty's funny, but it's also some pretty depressing stuff. So maybe that's not the best palate cleanser, but at least it's half-hour episodes, so that's good.
Sure, a lot quicker than Soprano episodes. Right now, as far as TV viewing is concerned, my wife and I have been watching House of the Dragon.
I need to catch up.
Super into the Game of Thrones type stuff. And then in the off season, I do. Let's see. I probably want to go back through and watch That 70s Show again because that 90s show is coming out eventually.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I forgot it. I don't watch that many sitcoms, but that's definitely one of the good ones.
It's streaming on Peacock now for all of you out there that are like, oh yeah, I would love to watch that. It's on Peacock for free.
Hell yeah, brother. Imagine if the Red Sox were like relevant enough for us to lead the show with them.
That would be pretty amazing. And what's sad is we're coming off of a series win. And it's taken us 7 minutes into this episode to even mention the podcast or mention the Red Sox on a Red Sox podcast. So
I don't even know there's a single Red Sox fan who would complain. Like, genuinely.
No, like they're probably checking out now because they're like, oh, they're done talking about cool stuff. They're going to talk about the Red Sox.
There is some good stuff going on with the Red Sox, though. And that's hard to focus on with how terrible they've been. Not even terrible, they've just been mediocre.
Mid.
They're mid. They're boring. That's I think what the issue is more than it. Because if they were like failing colossally, then we could be like, oh wow, what we're going to get with that first round pick. And if they were good, then we'd have a playoff race to talk about. But what's kind of nice though, seeing some of these younger guys play. I actually have been enjoying that. I can 100% say I'm okay if they don't trade for Sean Murphy. I'm comfortable going into the season with a Reese McGuire, Connor Wong duo. Cassis has been fun to watch, even though he's not getting a lot of hits yet. The approach is a lot of fun. Zach Kelly's been scoreless in, I think, 5 out of his 6 appearances and has looked every bit like a big league reliever. So, considering the guy came on the show back in June, that's been pretty cool to see.
Yep. Yeah, friend of the show. That he got the pesky bump for sure.
Yeah, I can also tell you guys he's coming back during the offseason. I don't know when yet. He just had a kid, but he is 100% coming back on during the offseason. So we'll have our first major league
official major leaguer. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, spoilers.
Ed, for those of you that don't know, Ed has been working his butt off to schedule interviews and to bring you a lot of awesome content in the off season. And we're going to dial back the weekly episodes and stuff like that a little bit, but we're going to sprinkle in these interviews and things like that. So all off season long, you'll have Red Sox content right here at the Pesky Report.
Yeah, I've got us booked through, I think, mid-December right now with kind of a variety. There's, a lot of, I just go with the shotgun approach with it, where you just kind of ask everybody that's like mildly interesting to you, from last year's 18th round pick to people that played in MLB. And, I'm happy to say that there is one guy that has already gotten back to me that is a former major leaguer who pitched, I believe, he actually had a few good seasons with it. I don't want to drop any names just yet. I've also got one guy from the top 10 on our prospect list that's coming on, and a few other interesting names. The one that I guess I feel the most comfortable name dropping, just because he seemed to be pretty excited about it and people have actually heard of him, is Pat Light.
Yeah.
He's coming on. Yeah.
I think a lot of our listeners have probably heard of Pat Light.
Yeah, and I liked him when he pitched. I remember seeing him in AAA. I think in 2010 or something like that, or it might have been even more recent. But I remember seeing him pitch, so that's going to be cool. But yeah, we've got and it's
cool.
going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot more fun than just regurgitating like, hey, this is who the Red Sox signed, especially on those weeks after they've made all of their moves, and it's just like maybe a couple minor league guys here and there.
Yeah, there's only so much in-depth analysis you can give for a depth position at AA.
I mean, I can talk about that for a bit, but I you might not be interested in listening to me waxing poetically about Izzy Wilson or someone.
Ed, we could listen to you wax poetically about anything. You're just that good. Let's talk a little bit about this Orioles series. Of course, the first game Friday night, the Red Sox lost to the Orioles 3-2. Is Brian Bayo the type of guy that's just not ever going to get run support at the big league level? Is that his MO now?
He had some run support, not a lot of it, mind you, but there was that Xander 2-run homer. So I gotta tell you, I've got to make a little confession about that first game. I only watched it through the first 6 innings, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because I was actually out with fellow podcaster Bailey. We actually was in Boston, and we went out. The idea was to get drinks and watch the game, and she talked me into ordering splitting a tower of beer with her, which ended up I don't drink that much. So I think around the third inning, I was kind of gone at that point. And we left, I would say, about 6 innings in to find another bar. Now we were drinking around Fenway Park. So you would think that there would be other bars showing the Red Sox game there. And none of the bars. We ended up at like Plant Bar, I think is what it's called, like where Boston Beer Works used to be, and they just weren't showing it. And there were like several bars that they just weren't showing the Sox. So we ended up. I think we just ended up heading home before that because she had to catch the commuter rail, and I was pretty shitty at that point. So
if that's not indicative of a terrible season, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
The bars in the Fenway area don't even show the games anymore. Ugh.
Yeah, I think maybe we walked past Cask and Flagon and they were showing it, but it was like, I don't want to
always packed
time there. Yeah, like not worth it. And so we just missed it. They had taken the lead. I think Bogarts hit that 2-run homer, and they had taken Bayo out. They were winning 2-0. And Caleb Ort, who, if you stopped watching a few weeks ago, you would think, like, why are they throwing in the towel? But Ort's actually been pretty decent prior to this appearance, and he gave up the lead, and they lost 3-2. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Bayo was charged with the 3 earned runs, and Ort was charged with the blown save because he gave up the hit that let it all happen. So, yeah, not the best game because that 2-run shot in the third inning by Xander Bogaerts was about all of the offense. They had 9 hits, just couldn't get any more runs across the board. Story of the season, am I right?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like you could be talking about. The only way that could be more 2022 Red Sox would be if they were winning 2-0 going into the 9th inning and like Matt Barnes come
and then blew
or
it.
Something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That it's just been a bad year for scoring with runners or hitting with runners in scoring position, holding leads late in games. It's everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for these Boston Red Sox.
Can I just say it's like really, really funny that Xander has started to look like himself again, like as soon as the game stopped mattering. I put a tweet out about it, and I know it didn't really get a lot of feedback because it was kind of mean, but it's kind of true. And I'm kind of bitter.
I get it. If he wins a batting title off of like this explosion, like after the team's out of it, it's frustrating. But
it's like, bro, we were 6 games out of the wild card when you started hitting well again. Like, why are you doing this to me? You were the chosen one.
The team is playing a bit better, though. I think they're pressing a lot less, and that's been, I think, been noticeable. Just
they got healthy. Like
much, yeah, that too. It's a mix, It's a mixture of things.
Like, man, Trevor Story, just a revelation, man. So good.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. There is players are coming back from the IL. Guys like Trevor Story, And you see what this team is capable of when healthy, when they have all hands on deck. But the problem with this team all season was you didn't ever really have the full team that was assembled, minus 1 month out of the season in which they were red hot. They were the hottest team in baseball.
Oh, and even then, they didn't have Chris Sale, who's like their highest paid pitcher.
Point.
Like they still were, and I think Barnes was out at that point. It's another high paid reliever.
Well, that might have been a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we're talking about months like 1 through 3, Barnes, he's been a serviceable 6th, 7th inning guy. I think since he's coming back, but yeah, no, that was definitely addition by subtraction at the time he went down.
Man, I'm trying to think of Chris Sale. It just gets sad. I can't wait till next year when he somehow inexplicably misses a game because some dude like flew a drone into him, and then he broke his forearm because of it. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Chris Sale dislocates kneecap parasailing.
Yes.
You know what would be this is my pipe dream if there is going to be a Chris Sale injury. So my dad had this friend when I was a kid, and I don't know what these things are called, but they would somebody would spend all of this time setting up a model city, and my dad's buddy and these other guys would dress up in like Godzilla costumes and that sort of thing, and like wrestle on top of them. And they still do that, I completely forget what it's called, but like you can pay like $50 or something to see people do this. I would like if Chris Sale's going to get hurt, that is how I would want him to do it.
If I could pick any phantom injury for Chris Sale, I think it would be doing some live action role play, some LARPing in the park where he's dressed up as like some medieval knight, and he loses a joust to the court jester.
So what's kind of funny about that? I don't know if I could see Chris Sale doing that himself, but I could see if he had like a kid or like a nephew that was like the age where they're doing that. I could see him getting really into that just to like be like a good parental figure.
Yeah, who knows? Tweet us, let us know what you think Chris Sale's off-season injury will be. I'm sure that will bring a lot of funny comments our way. The Saturday game was an absolute blowout. The Red Sox offense woke up in the first inning when Rafi Devers hit a grand slam, and it didn't stop because they were still scoring 6 runs in the 9th inning of that one. They ended up winning 17-4. And Waka cruised for 6 innings, and the bullpen was solid after that. It was all around a very enjoyable game if you're a Red Sox fan and like to see a lot of offense.
Yeah, that one was fun. I was visiting my parents, but I had the dog with me, and they don't like her being there by herself, so I had to stay back while they went to play. My sister and my parents went to play bingo for 3 hours, which, yeah. I've never done that before. I think it would be fun, but I enjoyed seeing that Rafi Devers grand slam. I enjoyed seeing the never-ending offense of the Red Sox. Really, that was satisfying. I think Kike Hernandez had 4 hits. Devers had 5 RBIs. They were just mashing. It was just like a conveyor belt of hitting. And, you can't complain about that at all. But I got a question for you guys, and this is with Waka. This is a 2-part question, okay? Or maybe like 1.5 point, I don't know. But do you give Michael Waka a qualifying offer? And if you don't, or he doesn't accept it, what do you offer him to stay for the team if indeed you want him to come back for the next season?
Oof. I don't give him a qualifying offer because I offer him a multi-year contract. I would offer him 2 to 3 years. I just don't know what the price point would be that I would offer him. I mean, he's been arguably the best pitcher that we've had this year, so that can't be forgotten. But at the same time, you are able to get him cheaper than a lot of these other guys, in my opinion.
You know who I compare him to? Anthony Descalfani of the San Francisco Giants. Not this year. He was hurt this year. But the year before that, he had a very good year, I believe, with the Reds. or it might have been with San Francisco, and then they just extended him. I honestly kind of forget, but he got $36 million 3 years, so that's I think $13 million a year, or $12 million, something like that. I'm bad at math. $12 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, I could go for something similar to that. I was thinking somewhere along the lines of like 2 years, 16 million.
That seems like it would be an undersell. When
it's
you
a
look
little
at
low.
Yeah,
it's a little low, but he's only getting 7 million this year.
But he can get more from a different team there. If you think about what a QO is,
true.
like that's 18, 19 million on its own. I would think
true.
I think that you have to at least offer him, because if he's getting 7 million this year, he's got to be getting double figures. If Kike Hernandez got 10 million, and I know it's a different position, but like pitching, you'd think is going to pay more than like a super utility guy, center fielder like Kike.
Okay.
I gotta think if you're going like that, it's got to be like 14 million 2 years or something.
That's what I was going to suggest. Probably that. I mean, this thing is like with the Red Sox pitching. I think like bringing Walker back it obviously won't be enough. Like I'm going to be pushing so hard, like banging the table for them to sign Carlos Rodon. It's not even going to be funny, dude. I'm going to be fucking shameless with my begging on Twitter for them to sign Carlos Rodon.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, Rodon for you, Bassett for me, Chris Bassett.
That would also be another great pickup. Would absolutely fucking love Chris Bassett. I would sim for that. 100%.
What do you like about Rodon?
Man, it's just the stuff. The injury stuff's a bit concerning. He does miss some time here and there, but like when you just look at his stuff, it's just filthy. He's hard throwing. Fucking, I feel like he has the mentality to be able to play in a place like Boston. I feel like he's got that kind of mindset. And I just like everything about him, man. I just want Rodon here, like, desperately. But again, Chris Bassett, I would fucking easily take Chris Bassett. Like, that's great. Would be an amazing pickup.
My fear about Rodon is that, like you said, there's that injury. He's got a lot of injury red flags. And you're going to have to offer him a lot of money, probably for an extended period of time. And it would be imagine if they take James Paxton's option or whatever, then you have 3 extremely injury prone lefties there, lefty starting pitchers.
Can you imagine?
Like I just be so like, you got to think 1 out of 3 has to hit, right?
Surely.
Do you think that James Paxton will get another shot at this next year?
So I think if I remember correctly with how the options work, there's like one part of the option is that the Red Sox accept it, and then he comes for, I think it's like 20 million 2 years or something like that. But then there's another part of the mutual option where if there's a player option with it, and I think it's 4.5 million for 1 year. So I could conceivably see if I don't know, maybe he takes that if he's concerned about not getting a real opportunity, and 4.5 million is more than whatever minor league deal he gets offered. I don't know what his market looks like.
I don't see him getting a lucrative deal anywhere. So I think that would probably be the best chance for him to play and make a little bit of money this season, because he hasn't really pitched in 2 years now.
Yeah.
And the last time he did pitch, it wasn't that great. So
no, and he's well on the wrong side of 30 at this point, and the injury history's already been there. So if he takes that option and it's 4.5 million, or I don't quote me on that, I could look it up, and I just don't care to right now. But
understandable.
I could see that happening where he comes back on like that. That's fine. As far as starting pitching depth goes, you could do a lot worse than James Paxton, even if there's a good chance he gets hurt again.
100%. I gotta say, like, on the Chris Bassett front, I keep forgetting like how good he is, and he never gets talked about because he's on that Mets team. You have DeGrom and Scherzer there, so they take up every inch of the spotlight. But I mean, Bassett's consistently low 3s, if not in the 2s, ERA wise. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's just so steady. He's such a steady. He's like, remember when Schilling was at his prime and Pedro was there, and you had the 1-2 with that, and like I feel like you didn't end up talking about either one of them as much as you would have been if, like, one of those guys was by themselves. Who's the number 3 starter on those teams? Was it like Derek Lowe?
I think so.
I would assume so. Yeah, I know Bronson Arroyo was plugged in there around that same time.
Yeah, Wakefield was kind of flipping between roles.
Yeah, Wakefield could always be plugged in as a starter and go 8 innings because his arm was always healthy.
Oh God, I love Tim Wakefield. He was definitely one. Do you remember this when he was going for like his 200th win towards the end of his career, and it was like 9 straight starts where he just didn't get it.
I kid you not. I was about to say, remember his quest for 200.
It's freaking endless.
I think the first opportunity he had at 200 was, and I might be wrong, it might have been in the second or third, but there was one that it was against the Pirates, which is where he came up in. And I was like, oh, this is going to be it for sure. Playing the Pirates, they're a weak team. He's going to go in there. He's going to be able to just dominate. He ended up getting shelled, and he was out of the game by like the 3rd inning.
I love how this was like over a decade ago, and the Pirates were still like, there was like that brief 2-year period when Andrew McCutchen won the MVP, but like they're just such a
which is bizarro world anyway. But yeah, they've had good players, but they always just sell them off.
Yeah, man. Who doesn't remember that iconic, Andrew McCutchen, Russell Martin led Pirates team? Like, hell yeah, man. That's peak nostalgia.
That is.
I mean, the Reds were pretty decent at the time, too.
Yeah, that's another team that's just sort of sad. No offense to Joey Votto, who, in my opinion, should be a Hall of Famer, but that is a team that just can't get it together.
That was the Brendan Phillips, Joey Votto era.
Oh, man. God, what a bat Phillips had for the Red Sox in 2018. Remember that walk-off he had?
Yes.
It's friggin' amazing.
Exactly.
The only Red Sox player to ever wear number 0.
Well, Ottavino did it after him, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
True.
Yeah. But he was the first. He was.
You know what that means?
Number 1.
Trendsetter.
Yes, absolutely.
Cannot be denied.
He is the original 0 for the Boston Red Sox.
Absolutely shattered the mold.
And we're not really talking about the Sunday game because there's not really too much to talk about. If you tuned in for the first inning after the lengthy rain delay, you saw Xander Bogaerts hit. See, it wasn't a home run. He drove in the RBI.
I think it was a sacrifice fly, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't even anything impressive. Like, it was just Xander Bogaerts got an RBI in the first inning, and that was the entirety of the Red Sox offensive scoring for the game. But it was enough to win the game 1-0. So there's that.
Pitching performance for really all parties involved. I mean, Rich Hill continued his good game, bad game trend.
2-hitter through 5. Pretty good.
I gotta say, like, if you were to tell me right after Rich Hill signed with the Red Sox and you were to read off what his stat line is right now, I'd be pretty okay with it. I'd be like, yeah, he's number 5 starter. That's fine.
That's decent for a 5 starter who's 87 years of age.
Yeah, who pitches similar to how my dad pitches wiffle ball, or at least did 20 years ago.
Similar to how most dads pitch in coach pitch.
Yeah,
Little League.
Yeah, but he's much better at it than anybody else ever. But yeah, I think Schreiber pitched. We saw, I think it was Schreiber. And then
Strom, Whitlock, and Barnes.
Strom, Whitlock, Barnes. And, I don't feel as terrible about the bullpen as I did, I think, even a month ago. Not saying that they don't need to get anybody. They clearly need, especially if Strom's leaving, they probably need 2 lefties and another righty. But, it's somebody that's high leverage. But, you go into next year with, this is assuming if they put Whitlock back in the rotation, you've got Houck, you've got Schreiber. That's a pretty nice duo there. Barnes seems to have settled into the, 6th inning, 7th inning role, who can occasionally close depending on the situation. Zach, friend of the show, Zach Kelly's look good. And I mean, this is even just ignoring his results, which have been good. I think there was the one inning he gave up 2 runs where it was like 2 walks and then 3 infield hits. But other than that, he's been scoreless in every appearance he's had. He's got that big swap between the fastball and the changeup where it goes from 98 miles an hour to 83 miles an hour. That's really hard to hit. Especially if you have the same arm angle and the slot is the same. It's very deceptive as a hitter to see that coming in. Yeah,
the pitches look very similar.
If we're going by pure, like who had the best pitch in AAA when Kelly got brought up, so this is like comparing all the other prospects there, it was probably his changeup. So that's a weapon in and of itself. But he also has like a cutter slider sort of pitch that if he can prove that just a little bit, I mean, you're looking at a legitimate 8th inning option there if he can do that. Yeah. I don't know. I think the control might need a little more work before I'd be like, yeah, that's a closer. But getting that for a guy that you signed for $500 out of college or whatever it was that he got, like. That's a find, and
solid investment.
I'm very excited about seeing what he does the rest of the season. And I think if I'm just calling a prediction now, knock on wood, I think he earns a spot in the bullpen next year.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's good to have a friend of the show in the bullpen of the Boston Red Sox. So that's pretty nice to have too.
Yeah, I'm saying that, by the way, like, and I'm very fond of Zach the person, so I don't want people to think that I'm like that's weighing into this. It's just you watch the guy pitch. It's a major league arm, Like,
I think really people have been enjoying this show long enough to know that the bullpen trust-o-meter it has as much integrity as anything can have.
Listen, it's the great constant in America. Like when there's nothing else that you can trust, you can trust the bullpen trust-o-meter. Like,
yep.
It's
death,
do not let it be twisted.
Trust-o-meter.
Exactly. Like fucking, it is always there. Your consistent companion.
I think I'm usually pretty good. I know that there were some people that got a little annoyed that I put Kelly in front of Barnes as quickly as I did, but that's the thing. It's not the competency meter or anything like that. Even if like it is off, it's just the trust-o-meter, and we're not far away enough from the first 3 months of Matt Barnes for me to just start trusting him all of a sudden.
Here's the deal, Ed. You're too nice. You need to just start like throwing haymakers out there. Like when someone says like, wow, you put Kelly over Barnes, and you should respond with make your own list, bozo. Get a better opinion.
Guarantee they will never get a better graphic. That's for sure.
That is true.
That is a fact.
I've got an entire offseason to build a Trust-O-Meter 2023 graphic, and I already am just like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to top this year's work. Whatever. I think maybe like it's just like doing mushrooms before I do it is really the only real way. And I've never done mushrooms, so I'm not confident that I'll be able to like have the dexterity to draw something out. Like it's not likely is what I'm saying. As I said that, my girlfriend passed by and was not sorry, my fiance, I'm still getting used to saying that, passed by and was like nodding profusely and gave me a thumbs up. So She bought a copy of the shirt. We wore them together to a Red Sox game. It was the most romantic fucking thing that's ever happened in my life.
Penny's pissed.
Yeah, Penny's like, why didn't you buy me one?
We should probably make like the doggy bandanas for the 2023 Trust-O-Meter shirt.
I mean, honestly, I think a doggy bandana just for Pesky Report. Why don't we sell one of those? That's a good idea.
I think that could be something that we throw out there in the works. We're all dog people.
I'm asking this like totally unironically. Do you have like some kind of a marketing background, Brandon? Because I say this like with complete earnestness. Like I feel like the store's like kind of your baby, and you've done like such a good job with that. With like so, like I've had people like ask me about the shirts from that before, like out of just like from me wearing them. So, like, is that like do you have or like in like something like graphic design or something like that?
My background in all this came from when I started my own podcast years ago, and I was doing all of the graphics and all of the social media and all of that stuff. So I kind of got decent at graphic design basically because I had to come up with something, and I wasn't going to pay somebody $5 every time I needed a new graphic. So I was like, well, I'll figure it out. And the first lot of graphics were very terrible until I figured out, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And opened up the same kind of store or whatever. And I like the things that we would say on the podcast would be funny to us. So we would make them into shirts. And that's kind of what I just carried over into the Pesky Report and doing the things there. And I appreciate you saying that because I do try to make quality stuff for the store, and I try to make it stuff that I would enjoy wearing, and I think other people would enjoy wearing as well.
I think that's the best advice about like anything creative I've ever heard. I have a friend who is like a published poet, and I'm terrible at that sort of thing, but like there's a different type of writing I'm very good at, but I was asking her, like, how do you know when you've written something that's good? And she was just like, well, because I liked it. And it's kind of like, that's so obvious. But, like, I don't know, for me at least, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that having a podcast and building a podcast audience was very similar to being in like a local rock band. You've got your core group of people that are going to support you and like you and stuff like that. But then you, like, by performing and doing better stuff, that's how you attract more and more people. Same thing with a podcast. If you're good at podcasting, good at doing a show like this, more and more people are going to tune in. More and more people are going to start listening to it. And if, just like a local band, if they have a cool t-shirt, you're more likely to buy it than if they just have a shirt that just says their name on it and it's bland. So I don't know. That's kind of like how I've always tried to envision like this whole podcasting roller coaster that we're on. Is we're kind of like the local band.
That's a good way of putting it. I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's actually, I think, a pretty good. It's it's like it's all entertainment. It's just like a different variant.
It's a different type. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Now moving on to other things and not me and my background, because I don't really care to talk about myself all that often. I do have some buy and sell questions for you guys, and I didn't tell you guys the questions beforehand because I wanted your answers to be organic and off the cuff. So the first one, the Red Sox, after this recent victory, are now 3 games under 500. They have 21 games for the rest of the season. Buy or sell, the Red Sox will finish the season 500 or better.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You told me, ask me this question at the beginning of the season. Fuck me, dude. I would have started laughing. I definitely buy it. I mean, I really think they're playing better baseball right now. They're healthy. Really, just since Story's come back, the team just looks more cohesive. The vibes are kind of returned to being generally positive. I think they could finish above 500, if not a decent bit above 500. Please hope they don't finish below. I just please something to build on.
The schedule the rest of the year is a little bit unforgiving in regards to this. They have 6 games left against the Yankees, 4 games left against the Orioles, 3 against the Blue Jays, 3 against the Rays, who have absolutely owned us. And then the other 5 games are a 3-game series against the Royals and a 2-game series against the Reds.
I bet we take 4 or 6 against the Yanks minimum. Go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be exactly 500. That's kind of my read on it. I think they've played well against the Yankees all year, inexplicably. The Royals and the Reds aren't exactly world beaters. So you've got, I don't know if they'll sweep those games, but I think that they'll at least win the majority of those. Because you got to remember, you just have to win 3 more games than lose for them to hit that, or whatever the number is there. And I think, honestly, they've played so badly against the Rays and the Blue Jays this year that, you think that they have to the luck has to shift a little bit, they've just been so pathetic against those 2 teams. And the Orioles, they won the last series against them. They've got young guys that aren't really they're actually playing for next year. So that, I think that, Wong and Cassis are, it's the beginning of a tryout for them. And we'll see how far they can take that. But I think that certainly helps in winning games that might be a little less meaningful at this point. Not to mention, when you look at the Yankees, I mean, are they still on the verge of collapsing out of that first place spot?
I can check right now. I believe they started winning a few games, so it isn't as bad as it could be. But I believe they're only 3.5 games up. No, they're 5.5 up now.
5.5 up.
Okay.
Yeah,
damn it.
5.5.
You're going to be seeing other teams pressing, and you're going to be seeing some hungry Red Sox players. So I don't know. I think they can do it. I think Eovaldi, if he comes back, is playing for contract money. There's definitely some incentive for him to pitch well. So I don't know. I think they're going to be exactly 500.
I can definitely buy that.
Okay. The next one I've got, buy or sell a Xander Bogaerts extension.
That's tough. I have no idea on that one, man. I would like him to still be on this team because he's a known commodity. I like continuity. Probably the second best of the shortstops available. I think if I had to pick, I'd probably go Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson. But God, I'm leading. I'd say 51% yes, 49% no.
Speaking of a pretty unfanfared list that you have going right now, not as much as your reliever trust-o-meter, but your free agent list has been pretty good. I've been scooping out.
Just so you know, when that list is done, there's probably going to be over 200 people on it. That's my big October project, is getting that going. I did this last year, but I think I only had like 500 followers at that point, so nobody gave a shit. But I'm going, I've gotten right now, if I were to check the number, I've got 130 on the list right now. And my goal every year is to get to 300. I've only done that once. I've been doing this for, I think, 5 or 6 years now.
Wow.
But because the thing is that usually after 200, it's like guys that are probably either retiring or not getting offered a contract. So it's like, how many of these guys do you want to include? I might as well just put like Penny's name on it or something. But
you should.
Last year I did have a gimmick that I enjoyed last year where I just started putting in like pop culture references for the players at like 200 and trying to pretend that it was like actually them. Like it was like Dexter Fowler. I think I put a picture of Dexter from Dexter's Lab, like that kind of thing.
Dexter Morgan would also be appropriate for that.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. I didn't watch that show a lot, but yeah. Sorry, but thank you. That's really nice of you to say about that free agency list. It's honestly like my favorite thing that I do in October every year.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It clearly takes a lot of time and effort to do that kind of stuff. So,
and by the time he finishes, the list is going to look like that meme from Coraline, where it's just the guy at the computer who looks just completely decrepit and just tired.
I mean, that's me most of the time anyway.
Fair. What do you think, Hogdale? Buy or sell the extension?
God damn it. I really want to just buy based on my heart because I want Xander to stay. I keep getting this like void of uncertainty though that he's going to be gone because he wants that Boris money that everyone wants.
And he took the team friendly deal last time. So
yeah,
he's probably like, yeah, I'm ready to get paid at this point. Plus, you add in the fact that he is still currently leading the batting title race. I know that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but it does mean a lot whenever you're negotiating contracts.
That
it means a lot to me.
Like, yeah,
I like batting titles.
I do too.
Yeah, they're great. That and he's had like probably the most casual like 6-WAR season a player has ever had in the history of humanity. He's really stepped it up on the defensive end this year, and again, that might just be a contract thing that might regress, but that's something that he can leverage easily.
For sure.
Again, and like he hasn't hit for a ton of power, but he hits for enough to where he's like mid 800s OPS wise, right around there. So, I want Xander back. I prefer they extended him. I will understand, but it will also hurt if they let him walk like quite a bit. But man, if he does walk, there needs to be some insane overhauls. Like,
if he walks, they have to bring in one of the other big four there. Like,
yeah,
even if Swanson's the best one you can get. I like Dansby Swanson, but I think he's a little bit, like there's a difference between Dansby Swanson and Carlos Correa is bigger than the difference between Carlos Correa and Xander Bogaerts.
Like, listen, like the local
he
orphanage
just doesn't
is
have
better.
The stick.
The local orphanages better beware because I'm willing to burn them down for Trey Turner in a Red Sox uniform. And
this is true.
And listen, man, like they're gonna run to tell somebody, and they don't have parents. So who are you really gonna tell? I'm just saying it's an easy target.
I just don't get the vibe that if the Red Sox are going to pass on the Xander Bogaerts contract, that they're going to be willing to give it to Trey Turner.
Dude, Trey Turner's so good. He's like perennially the most underrated player in baseball.
I think that I could see them giving Turner more than they'd offer Xander, because I think that as they get older, I think Turner's easier to move to center field when Mayer's ready. Or like easier to shift to a different position.
That's a really good point, because he plays there pretty consistently.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I were picking, I would go Xander, because I think that there's value to continuity. There's value to knowing that the guy can do it, and I think that there's value in homegrown players. I think that a homegrown player is gonna give it more than a hired gun is. You know?
Yeah,
I agree.
All right. The next one, buy or sell. Aaron Judge currently has 55 home runs. Buy or sell Judge hitting 62 to become the new American League home run champion.
Do you want to go first, Ed?
I'm buying it. I think it's going to be, I don't think he's going to get to 65. I think it'll be like 62, 63. I mean, even if he gets to 60, that's an accomplishment. Like, how many people have done that? But yeah, I think it's going to be like 62, 63.
I can tell you how many people have done that in the American League. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris.
Yep.
That's it.
Why do they all have to be Yankees? What the fuck?
When I was researching this question, I was like, oh, because after those two, guess like the next like 3 or 4 entries are all still Yankees.
Oh, come the fuck on.
Didn't Griffey hit 50? Didn't Griffey hit 58 or Hank Greenberg hit 58 with the Tigers?
Maris 61, Ruth 60, Ruth 59, Ruth 58. And then it started getting into other players.
I was like, because I know, like, didn't like Jose Bautista hit like 56 one year?
Yeah,
he was 50. It's definitely he topped 50. I don't know if he got. I think it might have been 54 for him.
It could have been. Honestly, I'm gonna look that up right now because I'm curious.
Like I know Griffey definitely hit 56 one year though, and I feel like Hank Greenberg hit 58 with the Tigers.
That sounds correct. You were right, Ed. It was 54.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as Judge, I'm buying the fuck out of it, dude. He's a monster. Yeah. I mean, I have such like admiration for him as a player. And also, I hate how likable he is. Like, he's just so likable. Even as a Yankee, like the dude always says the right things. They asked him like, "Oh, is this the real home run record you're trying to chase?" He's like, "Nah, that's Bonds. Like, y'all are fucking on some shit. Bonds has the real home run record. When you look up who has the most home runs in the season, Bonds comes up. I mean, you're all trying to fraud it in another way, but it's just a fact."
I had a conversation with somebody about that on Twitter the other day, because I was talking about the 762 and Pujols climbing that list and now at 697. And I put an asterisk next to Bonds' name, and somebody was like, "Take that star off his name," and it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's not because to take anything away from Barry Bonds. It's to not take anything away from Babe Ruth and Garen. That is how I look at it more than that.
Yeah, I could totally respect that viewpoint.
I'll say something that's a little bit controversial. If you're going to put the asterisks beside Bonds, you should also put one beside Ruth, because he was playing against guys that were mechanics.
Also, hearsay, he was probably doing amphetamines and or some kind of other steroid at the time, too.
Oh, yeah. No, that's completely true. But wasn't there still cocaine in the Coca-Cola back then? Like, nothing was illegal.
Yes. At that point. Yeah, exactly.
And he was a murderer.
It's not that.
True.
Yeah. That is, no, there is that aspect of it. But I don't think we put asterisks for murderers. It's like saying that Ty Cobb should have an asterisk because he was a racist motherfucker. Like, we can't put an asterisk for everything.
That's true. Murder does kind of get swept under the rug when it comes to sports. I mean, O.J. Simpson's still in the Hall of Fame, so there's that. Yeah.
Listen, the juice was crazy fucking though, dude. He was really good.
He was really good, yeah. And I this isn't it. And here's where I think I differ from other people. I mean, Barry Bonds is the first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question in my mind that Barry Bonds is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
The Baseball Hall of Fame is pretty much just a joke to me now, ever since like I found the fact out that he's just not going to get in now. Him and Clemens. It's just a joke. It's a joke Hall of Fame. It's not real. You're pretending a whole era of baseball didn't exist And also, like, even before Bonds juiced, he was a no doubt Hall of Famer. And the line before he juiced and like when he started is so blatantly obvious. You cannot pretend that it's not there.
Yeah. But that's again why, like, I think with the asterisks is just that, like, he was using something that wasn't available for the players back then. And that's fine. It was available for the players that he was playing with. It's not like, it's not like all the top home run hitters were suddenly like not going to be able to hit any home runs because they weren't using steroids. It's just that they got inflated a little bit. That's how I look at it.
They should not count any of the home runs that are hit this year and the years previous to this because hitters are using iPads to watch videos and stuff like that. Bonds never had that opportunity to be able to walk into the dugout and see his at bat firsthand.
Can I tell you a cool story about Barry Bonds that I heard from a guy that I interviewed who played with Bonds in 1996?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So this guy, his name is Dax Jones, and you can look him up. He was super cool name. But he played in the majors for part of, I think it was 1996 as like a fifth outfielder. And he was on the team playing with Barry Bonds, and I guess he was doing like research on the pitchers before the game. And I guess he said that what Barry told him was like, no, sorry, this was Jalal Leach. This wasn't Dax Jones. Sorry, they both played with him, but this guy was Jalal Leach, and this was a little bit later. This was 2001. And he basically told him before the at-bat what pitches this guy was going to throw to him before he threw it to him. And the next day, first pitch, exactly what he said it was. Second pitch, exactly what he said it was. Third pitch, exactly what he said it was. He hit it for a home run. Bonds was that knowledgeable of the pitchers.
Dude, like,
he was
insane.
He was just absurd. And all of the things that you hear, like there are a few guys that I talked to that played with Bonds, and all of the stories that they tell about this guy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was 94 or 99 or 2001. He was the absolute best.
Well, the dude was like raised to be like the ultimate baseball prodigy. His fucking godfather was Hank Aaron. Like, it's insane.
His godfather was Willie Mays, but oh my god, big difference.
Oh my god. Wow, the other fucking greatest, like top 5 greatest outfielder ever. Dude, it's just insane. And I hate it. I hate the arguments against Bonds getting in the Hall of Fame because they all fall flat by the fact that Pudge Rodriguez is in, that now even David Ortiz is in. That fucking they all fall flat. It just doesn't work. There are roided up guys that are in the Hall of Fame and you've let them in. I mean, Hank Aaron has a stainless reputation. Even he admitted to taking amphetamines. These dudes were all cheating. Baseball is the cheater sport, and I'm tired of people pretending it's not. I've been saying it for years now. Guys, this sport has no integrity. Stop pretending that it does. You're all full of shit.
The only thing that has integrity is the trust-o-meter.
Exactly. Dude, exactly. Brandon fucking gets it.
Next one, and this is the final one that I've got for you guys, and you've already kind of mentioned the guy, so stole my thunder a little bit, but
sorry.
Albert Pujols, sitting at 697 home runs. Buy or sell the machine hitting 700 bombs?
So I'm buying on that. I'm buying. How can you not buy with what he's up to, like 18 on the season? What's he doing for the second half? It's friggin'. If you told me that he was gonna get, I think he needed 21 at the beginning of the season. If you told me he was gonna get anywhere close to that,
yeah,
I would be surprised.
I wasn't buying it in April, but I'm definitely buying it in September because he's right there and he's swinging a good bat right now, and he's doing it in front of the St. Louis fans, which makes it even more special in my opinion. I think he ends the season with 700 on the nose.
Dude, I'm buying this so unbelievably hard. Like, he's just going sicko mode right now, dude. Just hitting tanks. I'm also buying Pujols for World Series MVP. It's like the magical season. It's going to happen, bro. It's just guaranteed. And fucking... I'm just so happy for him. I'm just so happy for Albert, dude. No guy deserves it more. If he gets to 700, I'm pretty sure he will be the only guy with 0 asterisk whatsoever on his name. None. Dude never had even a sniff of steroid suspicions around him in the steroid era, and he's probably, outside of Bonds, the most dominant player of that time.
Until 2022, whenever he has to hit 21 home runs at age 57 at 700.
Gosh, I'm just thinking now about that. Like, Pujols and Bonds played in the same era.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the last of that era.
That's
him and Votto, I guess.
He never had any steroid accusations, and it holds up because Albert Pujols aged like a normal human being, unlike the roided up people. When Albert hit his mid-30s, he started to slightly decline, and then the decline just slowly kept coming, like how it's supposed to happen.
Until 2022, suspiciously.
You know what? If he wants to, I'm fine with him cheating the last year. Whatever.
One year out of his career is fine.
Think about who he has to surpass. He had to get past the king of cheating, Alex Rodriguez. So,
like he recently did. Yeah.
Dude, when A-Rod
is what A-Rod's at.
When A-Rod doesn't get into the Hall of Fame, I'm going to be fucking fuming. I'm going to be fuming.
No, I agree. He deserves to be there. He does deserve to be there. And as much as I think it's easy to, as Red Sox fans, say like how much we hate him, come on. He's Alex friggin' Rodriguez. Can you tell the story of baseball without him? No, you can't.
He might be the greatest shortstop who ever lived.
I always thought that the Yankees kind of screwed him by not letting him at least try for 700.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, completely agree.
The Yankees weren't even that good that year. And they didn't play him.
They were just like, just you're done. We're not going to let you try anymore. Speaking of the Yankees, we have a 2-game series coming up against them. Game 1, we have Pivetta versus Cole. In Game 2, we have Bayo versus Montaz. Any takes or anything that you guys want to say about this upcoming 2-game series?
I think that neither Montas or Bayo is going to get the decision in the second game because neither of them are allowed to have nice things for either team.
That's probably a pretty good take.
And I would love to see Raffy prove his parenthood over Jarrett Cole again tomorrow. I think that would be fun.
I think Tristan Cassis hits a home run off of Cole and opens up a whole new nightmare for Garrett Cole.
I could actually see that. He does seem like the kind of guy that Cassis can hit.
So now he'll have 2 lefties on the Red Sox lineup that just absolutely torment him. It'll be a good thing to see.
What do you think, Hogdale?
Yeah, I mean, Rafael Devers is going to fucking own Cole like he always does. It's always entertaining too. Garrett Cole is such a good pitcher, and it's funny. People said he's had a disappointing year when really, I mean, he's had a really good year. He's pitched a lot of innings. I mean, he hasn't been like a top 5 pitcher in the league, but you really can't expect that from someone every single year. I mean, as long as he's within the top 15, and like all Yankee fans really care about is if he delivers in the playoffs anyways. So, I mean, that's really what matters to them. Like Cole's really good, but for some reason, like Raffy just owns him. Like he has his number. Like no one's even comes close to owning Cole the way Raffy does. And I'm looking forward to it. And it'd be fun if Cassis like just was a Yankee killer, because it's you can usually see it pretty early in a Red Sox. Like if they're gonna just consistently shit on the Yankees, they usually show it pretty early on. It's like an early trait. So it's good. We need to see it. See the DNA. Does he have that dog in him to just completely railroad the Yankees?
Yep, I'm calling it. Cassis home run against Cole, Game 1.
That's a much more fun one than my no starters in Game 2 get a decision prediction.
Yours is probably pretty likely though.
I like winning. What can I say? I like to win.
Listen, the Bayo perfect game in Game 2 is going to hit different. Just saying.
Oh God, that'd be so cool. I'm happy to be wrong if that happens. Just not a Montas perfect game. That would be a real bummer.
He's not been good for them, like at all. And they let James Montgomery go for no reason, and he's been one of the best pitchers in the league.
Is Harrison Bader healthy?
I don't think so. He had that plantar fasciitis or whatever. And I don't think he's even played.
Too. Yeah, no, it's.
Jordan Montgomery's been good. He's been very good for the Cardinals, so it makes
Bader
no sense.
Will start his rehab assignment on September 20th.
Oh yeah, just in time for the stretch.
We're gonna feel like such assholes when like Judge gets hurt right before the World Series and Bader replaces him and wins World Series MVP. We're gonna feel so stupid when that happens.
Yeah. It's okay though, because we'll feel smart again once we sign Aaron Judge in free agency and rip out the soul of every single Yankees fan.
He's going to cost so much this offseason.
Dude, he's going to make so much fucking money.
So
oh my
much money.
God.
Yeah. I have Trey Turner listed as my top free agent, but there's no doubt in my mind that the one that's going to be earning the most is going to be Judge after this year. Like this is talk about hitting the jackpot after betting on yourself. Jesus Christ, that must have cost the Yankees.
Well, they offered him $216 million over 7 years. You guys are fucking clowns. Oh my God. Man. Oh my God, it's so funny.
I will say that my biggest thing that points towards the Red Sox signing, Judge, is that when given the opportunity, Bloom does seem to like screwing over the Yankees. When you look at how he seems to take somebody out of their system every single Rule 5 pick. Yes. Other than Jonathan Arauz, and he took Caleb Ort that year anyway with like the minor league portion of it. He took Whitlock from them. He took Brian Keller in AAA from them. I think he took Raynel Espinal from them in a different minor league portion of a Rule 5 draft. And then there's the whole Adam Ottavino Frank German trade, like where he just took a contract from the Yankees and a very good pitching prospect from them. Like, he loves to screw those guys over. So, maybe he'll do it here.
Hell yeah. Also, I joke about Judge because he's going to be a Met, and it's so obvious.
Yeah. Oh, God, that'd be so fucking funny, though.
Daddy Warbucks Steve Cohen over there is going to fucking every penny within his hedge fund is going to Judge.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, and I just want to get this thought out there for the universe, just hear me out. A baseball-themed Annie remake with Hogdale in the Annie role, and Daddy Warbucks is Uncle Steve. I just want that out in the universe, okay? Just think about it.
Manifesting it. Manifesting.
I would buy that.
Oh, my God.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for everybody who's made it with us the entire hour that we've been on here tonight. We appreciate all of you for sticking with us and enjoying the show tonight. We hope you enjoyed the Sopranos talk and the Ed's giving us "I love you" hand signals.
The football talk, the
football talk, and
sorry you had to tolerate the Red Sox talk. Really muddled up the rest of the show.
It really did. It kind of broke the momentum we had going early, didn't it? Oh well, we'll do better next week. We promise. We'll see you guys then. We gotta find the button. There it is.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pesky Report. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.